And so can we rescue ourselves or even benefit from this disorientation? To illustrate just how deep the problem is and how tempting it is to actually slide from ethnography to anthropology, I want to give an example which actually is partly from my own work and which has sort of bothered me for quite a long time. An example from really the two sides of what I've been doing, if you like, the ethnographic side and the anthropological side. So I'm just going to start with pretty typical kind of ethnography as anthropologists are used to recognizing it. For a very long time now, because I'm very old, I've been doing fairly standard fieldwork in a remote forest village in Madagascar. Actually, I don't have to excuse myself for this. I think it's totally justifiable. The village, my colleagues seem to think that doing proper anthropology is doing work on sort of electronic startups in India. That's not what I'm doing. After all, the kind of village I'm working on represents 99% of the history of humanity, much more than electronic startups in India. But that's by the way. In the house in that village where I stay, until a few years ago, an older couple, who I know very well and known intimately for more than 40 years, live. And every morning, this is a woman and a man, and every morning, after having tidied up the room, there's only one room where people have slept, lit the fire, and began to get the breakfast ready, the man and the woman of the house go and sit in the north corner of the room, which is the corner associated with the ancestors. And there they sit there, getting ready to receive the expected visitors every morning. These visitors are the children, the grandchildren, and other descendants of the couple, who in most cases had established a house of their own nearby in the village, usually just next to the original house. And actually, if they had a separate house, that means that they were an established family, an established couple with their children. You don't really have a house until you have children. And so, as they come, even if they come one after the other, they're representing their whole house, their whole household. And these children houses or people go to the opposite corner of the room, the south corner, which is associated with genealogical inferiority. They sit in a humble position, sort of squatting with their heads down, which also indicates genealogical inferiority. What they did, the kinship relations are so obvious between parents and children that they comment on everything about the body, the position, the house, makes that genealogical relationship between parents and children obvious. The role, if you like, of parents and children is just there every morning. Actually, there's more to it than that, because the direction where the parents are sitting is the direction of the ancestors. So you can imagine behind them the ancestors of previous generations. And this is quite important because what the children are saying is very largely asking for the blessing of their parents and by sort of echo all the previous generations behind them. On the other hand, the children the parents give them a blessing, sort of inquire how they slept well for the night, don't even inquire about dreams and things like that. all in extremely formal language. Actually, the language is so formal that actually what they do is sing. And actually this makes these morning visits extremely beautiful because of the singing between the parents and the children. Everything is fixed. There's no, and of course, since usually in this particular case there are quite a lot of children, each greeting session for each particular household lasts about 10 minutes. But since there's so many, half the morning is taken up with this ritual of greeting, this sung ritual of greeting. I don't know if you can imagine what it's like, but it's actually an absolute delight to be there when that happens. But one of the things which I want to stress, which I think is quite important also as anthropologists, the kind of thing we sometimes forget, is as these singing exchanges are taking place, quite ordinary conversations are going on. You know, just the people who are involved in the singing exchange obviously are doing that. But other people are talking about what they get, organising work parties to go in the fields, sort of chatting in a perfectly ordinary way, in a perfectly ordinary language. Indeed, even the people involved in the exchanges, the song exchanges, when it's not their turn to say things, they take part in these other conversations, which have no particular order, no particular sort of order of speaking, nothing at all. So one of the things which struck me is the co-occurrence of two different types of levels of linguistic, dialogic exchanges. On the one hand, there are these very fixed, totally non-informative by the specificity of the people or of the place or the time, exchanges going on in this sung voice. And highly informative chat. I don't want to get into the linguistics of it, but it's just the sort of thing we would do exactly the same way. So there are two kinds of goings on at the same time. And I think this is very interesting. Now,